Hey folks, welcome back, or of course welcome to Lone Pine Tarot if this is your first time visiting, but either way, thank you for joining me for a pick a card reading today, which was inspired by a request on one of my recent community posts asking for feedback on what topics do you want covered, so thank you so much to everyone who weighed in over there, and as you can tell by the title you clicked on, this reading is all about the key to your big dream. Basically, practical, tangible advice for getting to the dream and or the goal you have in mind as you watch this reading. So with that being said, let us choose our piles. We're choosing again with 3 different tarot decks today. Over here on the left for pile 1, your deck is the Ethereal Visions Tarot. And here is your 8 of Cups from that particular deck. For pile 2, you have Tarot for the Great Outdoors. And here is your lovely 8 of Cups, or Vessels, as it's known in this particular deck. And last but not least for pile 3, you have Tarot of the Golden Wheel. And here is your pile leader, 8 of Cups. Beautiful. So to reiterate, pile 1, Ethereal Visions. Pile 2, Tarot for the Great Outdoors. Pile 3, Tarot of the Golden Wheel. Though, as I always say, you are perfectly welcome to pause right here if you need more time to decide what pile you were drawn to, but when you are ready, drop down to the description box below, find the timestamp for your pile, and I will see you in our exciting chat about practical, tangible advice, the key to your big dream. See you in the readings, everyone. Hello there, my wonderful pile 1. Welcome to your pick a card reading advice on your big dream or goal for today. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Ethereal Visions as your tarot deck. Now, when I was preparing the readings for today, I did ask Spirit to give every single pile a collective message. And that is why everyone's pile leader today was the 8 of Cups, which was weird at first glance because typically as a tarot reader, I don't associate the 8 of Cups with like career or dream goal-oriented things because cups in tarot tends to represent like our feelings and our emotions and our connections to other people, but I thought about it some more and I was like, oh, that's why. So in a career or dream-oriented aspect, the 8 of Cups tends to mean there's something that we need to leave behind emotionally or something that we did in the past tense leave behind emotionally. It's kind of a card of this particular thing no longer serves me, so I'm going to move forward and I'm going to go to better pasture, so to speak, in terms of your emotions or your relationships with other people. So I wonder if a lot of you, the goal or the dream you have in mind as you're watching this is related to leaving something behind, or part of the reason why you're going towards this dream or business career related thing is because you want to leave something behind in the past that no longer served you. So it could have literally been like a job that no longer was working for you, or even a whole entire career direction. Maybe you're trying to pivot in some way. So that's part of our collective message today for everyone. I think at least the very first thing to keep in mind from Spirit today is they want you to leave something behind if you haven't already. Your direction here is at least one of the overarching themes in terms of what is no longer emotionally serving you regarding this dream or this goal, or at least part of maybe the reason why you started going after this goal in the first place. I want you to remember that if you already know what it is I'm referring to. But without further ado, let us look at the full picture. So we're going to draw your tarot spread to begin, calling on Spirit, of course. Can you tell us more what it is you want pile 1 to know about the key to the dream or the goal that they have in mind? Practical, tangible advice, as we said in the very beginning. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, well, that is a lot of cards. I can't take that many, but we're going to kind of reshuffle them and then put them on top here. So I wish I could fit 10 cards on the desk, but unfortunately, here we go. I don't have that much room. Beautiful. And here is number 5. Thank you, Spirit, for your guidance and help for pile 1 today. Let's see what we are working with. So first up to bat, we have the Devil. Okay, that makes a ton of sense, especially if some of you were already resonating with the idea of having like left something behind emotionally or that you want to, because the Devil, especially in the first position here, represents that maybe we're kind of running away from something that made us feel trapped. So I wonder if some of you like left a job or are considering leaving a job that made you feel trapped, or it could be like the goals of that organization or the thing that you were doing before weren't necessarily aligned with what you thought was like good for other people or good for the soul in some way, because the devil represents times where we feel like we've been kind of put in a cage of some sort, a jail cell of the soul, so to speak. So let's see what else pops out, but that makes a ton of sense. I'm not shocked by that card coming out. And then we have the Knight of Wands reversed. Also makes sense for those of you that did leave somewhere or considering leaving somewhere on this journey. It's also very possible that maybe you left because the Knight of Wands reversed represents a time where we're unable to take action with something that we're ambitious or passionate about. Or if you're not necessarily resonating with leaving something behind, it could also mean that part of what you're struggling with this dream or goal currently up until this point has been something regarding like, I want to take action with this ambition or passion of mine, but for some reason I feel blocked. Okay. Yeah. Let's keep going. We have the Nine of Pentacles reversed as the heart of the matter. Can mean we feel like we're not getting the fruits of our labor out of something. Maybe you're not seeing the progress so far that you've been desiring. That's definitely Nine of Pentacles reversed energy. Then we have the Ace of Wands, which kind of ties into that Eight of Cups message I had with your pile leader a little bit. We'll talk about that more in the future as we draw your oracle cards, but last but not least, we have the Three of Pentacles. Okay. Very fitting for this kind of reading. Pentacles, you already had that with the 9 too, but Pentacles are about career and tangible goals and manifesting things, resources, etc. Three of Pentacles is all about teamwork in some way, so that's going to be part of your message in terms of your advice. But let's keep going. I'll explain your tarot spread more in totality as I draw your oracle cards here in the background. So yes, as I said, pile one, I think you have been running away from something that was no longer serving you, that or you're considering doing so, and especially it was no longer serving you or hasn't been in terms of that feeling of, I feel trapped here. I feel like this isn't aligned with my soul goal. My life purpose, I guess is maybe a better way to put that. You feel like you were maybe blocked in some way, or if you've already kind of embarked on this journey towards this goal or this dream, you've been feeling trapped in some way. Like maybe you feel like there's not a lot of room to kind of wiggle out in terms of what you want to do with your ideas. Maybe you feel kind of entrapped in some way with that, because that's that devil energy combined with the Knight of Wands reversed especially is that feeling of, man, I want to take action. I know what I want to do. I just feel like I don't have the right avenue to go about doing this. Maybe you're not even kind of sure where you want to direct this energy yet. That could also be some of the advice that you've been seeking by clicking on this reading. And then too, of course, with the Nine of Pentacles, that is a card reversed in terms of, I always explain it, I'm sorry for those who watch my videos before, you're going to know what I'm going to say with the gumball idea, but Nine of Pentacles reversed is like you putting a quarter into a gumball machine and not getting the gumball out. That's kind of the energy, explained very simply in terms of that particular card. So, you know, that could represent where you have come from in terms of why you're going after this particular goal, or if you've already embarked on it, as I said, it feels like maybe you're not really seeing the results that you want yet based on all of the effort that you've put in, especially because the Nine of Pentacles comes right after the Eight of Pentacles. And the Eight of Pentacles, my friends, is often about being very hard at work on something, because it's like a blacksmith kind of hammering away at a forge, making something. It's like, I've put in blood, sweat, tears into this, but I feel like I'm not really getting out of it what I put in. So just like that quarter in the gumball. Now your advice, because that's the energy leading into all of this. The Ace of Wands, as I said, I think does very heavily tie into that Eight of Cups energy I said at the very beginning of I'm leaving something behind that no longer serves me. I think if you've already embarked on this dream or goal, like you're already kind of taking tangible steps towards it, pile one, you are being reminded to think back to when you left that first place, or when you initially decided I'm going to leave this first place to go after this goal or this dream or career, etc., business. Ask yourself, what was my initial intention? What was the very first spark, the very first thing that came to mind that was the final convincer of, okay, now I'm going to pivot now. I'm going to switch over to this particular direction, because the Ace of Wands is all about new energy regarding our passions and our ambitions. Just like the Knight of Wands talks about passion and ambitions, but the Ace is specifically about when it was new, okay? I think maybe part of if you've been feeling a little bit disillusioned with this particular path, if you've already embarked on it, as I said, it's because you might have gotten away a little bit from what got you on this particular journey in the first place. That's why your spirit guides are saying, remember, with this card, the Ace of Wands, what was that first spark that got you into it? What was the initial reason? Ask yourself that, pile one, okay? I think because of the Three of Pentacles next to it, the Three of Pentacles tends to represent teamwork. It's working together with other people on a particular tangible goal, especially when it comes to like business and career and those things, or just building things together, manifesting, bringing something about on the earthly plane from, above our soul, our minds, our hearts, etc. I almost wonder if part of your initial goal, that spark for some of you, was related to helping other people. Like that might have been part of the initial, okay, this is my focus now. Because maybe where you were before, you had this feeling of, I'm not really helping people here. Maybe that's kind of one of your life purposes or one of your soul drives, pile one, is you feel like I need to help people in order to feel accomplished. Especially because if you like say you left as one example, it might not apply to everyone, but just for the metaphor, like you left a workplace that was represented by the devil as your first card. And I wonder why you felt like you weren't really serving other people in the way that you wanted to, because a devil workplace is a place where you feel very restrained and trapped in some way. And also it's just not very ethically aligned, perhaps. Maybe you felt too that your talents were being wasted there. That could be another way that Knight of Wands reversed manifests itself here in your particular situation. So remember then, what was it that you didn't like about that place? What was it that you did not feel was being utilized in terms of your skills and your passions there? And that is where they're saying to pivot your focus in terms of this new dream or goal that you have in mind, okay? That's part of their advice for you. And then, of course, just teamwork in general. You might find that you might want to connect or network a little bit with other people too, hence the Three of Pentacles. Or it could also be if you already have team members at this place. So, of course, it depends on how far along you are in terms of your goal, or exactly what the goal is too, because I know some of you, it might not be like starting a business for an example, but working with other people is another place or direction they want you to focus on. So if you already have, say, other coworkers there that you've hired, etc., say if you own a business, improve the teamwork there, because that might be another thing that is kind of lagging behind a little bit. Maybe people aren't necessarily in sync with each other. They're not being like team players, etc. That might be just another direction just to kind of look at that a bit closer, and that might also help you manifest these dreams a bit more. Okay, so now looking at your oracle cards, we do have 2 divination cards. Gravity Falls, if you're familiar with my channel, I do have Gravity Falls decks. If you're not familiar with it, I'll explain it. You don't have to know the show to know the cards. So, number 1, we have Haunted Mirror, Ensnaring, Revelatory, and Rights, Wrongs. Yes. Okay, so that's that feeling of like the devil again. Because remember I said the devil's like a cage. It's like we felt trapped somewhere with the term ensnaring especially. And it revealed to you, I think, I think I want to go in this direction. And maybe it was like you were looking in a mirror and you're like, what have I become, or what am I helping here at this place that I don't feel soul aligned with? And how can I move away from that? Or what can I do to greater align with my larger purpose, okay? And righting wrongs, too. I feel like a lot of this goal that you have in mind, pile 1, is something that speaks to you in terms of your morals and your ethics. So remember those morals and those ethics as you go along. It's another piece of advice here. Then your second divination is Fairy Dust. Potent, fades fast, and contraband. Fairy Dust. I'm going to see what that one is in a minute after we look at your other oracle cards, because that could be a lot of different things. We're going to put those up here. And then your other oracle cards from the Citadel Oracle today, we have the Orator with the element of air, communication and confidence. Could mean that you are an air sign, possibly. Maybe part of your goal is you want to speak in some way, and that can manifest in many different ways, obviously. Literally speaking here, like the hand holding the skull, playing a bit of a Hamlet reference there. To be or not to be, that is the question, of course. But also not just verbal speaking. It could be written word. It could be that you're speaking through a creative medium of some sort, which, literally writing we think of as, communication. But every kind of art is a communication of sorts, right? Including music, painting, what have you. It all is done to speak or say something, okay? So think about what it is that you want to say. What is it that you want to speak to others? Also, it could be a piece of advice kind of tied to the Three of Pentacles in terms of maybe you need to speak to others more that are within this particular field or this like networking situation, however that applies to what you have going on. maybe part of your lack of progress, if that's what you've been frustrated with, is just that you haven't been communicating like enough to the right people, or it's like, even if you've been communicating a lot, trying to advertise what this is, or whatever your particular goal is, of course, everyone's going to be a bit different. It's like you need to even enunciate it and project it even more, okay? Especially with that Hamlet reference, I think of like even like theatrical production. I mean, not, corny, ridiculous, but something there, and having confidence in it too. I think that's really what I mean with the theatrical thing in mind, is like, an actor on a stage doesn't say something with a lack of confidence, at least if their character isn't shy, of course, that they're playing, but they enunciate very loudly so that everyone can hear and speak them, or so that they can speak and people can hear them. I got that switched around. I apologize. People can hear them. Okay, so speak a little louder to other people, especially. From your Woodland Wardens, you have the Vulture and Asphodel with Upheaval. Yep, doing something new, doing something that rocks the world. I think you might even be pivoting in a way of not just moving away from the feeling of being trapped or like the lack of ethics that you were sensing where you initially were or where you are now that you want to get away from. I think you might even have the opportunity to actually like upheave this whole field. Like say if it's a business pile one and you're kind of doing something that's similar to where you were before, but you're like, I'm not going to do the exact thing because I want to do it better. I want to do it more ethically. I want to serve humanity rather than taking away from it, just as one example, okay? Then that is a really good sign that, I mean, just like the vulture, you're taking from the old, as vultures do, right? Because what do they eat is carrion, right? The thing that was rotten before, and they make a new with it, okay? So taking what was rotten at that initial place and making something better out of it, okay? So keep that in mind too. That's why they're asking you, remind yourself why you did this in the first place. What frustrated you about where you were? Because that is the exact fuel that's going to help project you even further along your path here. And then last but not least, we have, how funny, we have teamwork from the Ask Your Guides Oracle. And guess what card literally means teamwork, as I explained. So this is being very, very heavily emphasized for you, Pile 1. You need to work with other people. There's more that needs to be done here in terms of connecting with other people, reaching them, putting minds together, rubbing brains together and saying, okay, we all have similar opinions. We all have similar goals. How are we going to work together in unison to achieve this particular thing? Very heavily emphasized. So if there's anything you take away from this reading in general, like the number one piece of advice Spirit has for you on your dream or your goal, it's teamwork. Work with other people, because look at that. You have two cards that literally mean kind of the same thing, right? Literally. We're planning together. We're working together on a unified goal. Because that's another thing too, is it's the beauty of having other minds working with you, is every single person's mind is different, Pile 1, as we all know. And when we work together with those different minds, we bring all of our strengths together and we kind of make up for each other's weaknesses too. That's the beauty of how we work as humans, right? Humans are social animals. We're meant to work together. We're meant to be, to connect and, to do things together in terms of teamwork, right? That's how we operate as human beings. Of course, there's something to be said with doing independent work too. But I think Spirit is saying, maybe you're doing too much independent. We want you to do a little bit more in terms of what other people can you bring in to help you with these ideas. Okay. I am going to draw just one more tarot card on the fairy dust, because I'm curious. That could mean that it's something pharmaceutical. I know it sounds weird because I say it's like fairy dust, but that's because this is where the Gravity Falls reference, I have to kind of explain it. In the show, it's kind of a joke, contraband substance. I'll put it on YouTube. You know what I'm trying to say. That was, it was a joke, but you know what I mean? So basically a drug of some sort. So that's why I say maybe pharmaceutical related thing that you're doing, health related thing, interpreting that more for like healthy drugs, right? Hopefully not the other kind. But then also it could be, maybe beauty related too. I mean, we think of beauty as like fairy dust, like kind of like pretty shiny things. I don't know. That's why I'm drawing another card though. Spirit, can you explain the fairy dust? That one kind of threw me for a loop. Potent fades fast. It could be also justice related, because I think of contraband too as like, maybe helping people that have addictions of some sort, some justice oriented thing like that. The Six of Wands with victory. Okay, well, you're going to be successful with it. I can tell you that. The Six of Wands is all about being successful in some way, especially for those of you that you're resonating with what I'm saying in terms of like pharmaceuticals or helping people with drugs, etc., whatnot. Or maybe not even pharmaceutical. It could also be like healing in other ways. It doesn't have to be, like mainstream medicine necessarily, but that's a good direction to go into if you're asking maybe where to go. Then we have the Six of Pentacles reversed. Yes, righting wrongs, making things fairer, making things more equal and just in society too. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was like, I feel like there might be even like a justice-oriented thing, legal, something along those lines. They're saying, if that's aligning with you, Pile 1, that's a really good direction to go. Think about how you can serve other people. Think about how you can right wrongs. Think about how you can reduce unfairness in the world. And that is your guiding key for that fairy dust card. Because, it talks about, especially with the contraband, I'm thinking like, is that like justice related? Or healing, one of the two. So just to summarize, Pile 1, I think you're on a good path with where you're at with this, especially if you've already either been considering leaving some certain place or you already have had the courage to leave, which pat yourself on the back if you have. That's not easy to do. You can speak from experience. It was good of you to leave that place behind or to plan to do so. But I do see success in your future with this particular path. I know right now it seems kind of, it's like, it seems kind of grim because I'm not really getting that gumball out of the machine based on the quarter I put in, metaphorically speaking. But remember what you got into this for, okay? Remember, like, what was the spark that got you thinking this is the direction I want to go and this is the dream I want to achieve? And also, very heavily emphasized, I'll say it one more time, teamwork. I won't repeat it too much, but teamwork. Big flashing neon sign from Spirit. Take what was good about the old thing and keep that. Get rid of what was bad about the old thing. Okay? And also, you have a lot about communicating forward too. More about your goal and your dreams. Networking, reaching other people. Also, there's a lot about justice and righting wrongs. I think you are a very ethically driven person, Pile 1. I think that's maybe why you were drawn to this particular dream or goal. So keep that as your guiding North Star, your Polaris, as you navigate through this particular situation with your dream or your goal. And I do see success in your future because of that Six of Wands, which is, I just saw this too, duh. There's a laurel crown here, or bay crown. I can't remember if it's bay or laurel. I think it's laurel. Anyways. Anyone that knows Greek mythology a little bit better, I think it's it's the crown of victory, I guess, in summary, with not knowing exactly what plant it is. I think it's laurel. Both in the Six of Wands and in your Orator card. Okay. You have the great potential for success. Just keep going on the path. Keep steadfast. Work with other people. Focus on how can I make life more fair for others. And that will help you get to where you're wanting to go with this, okay? Beautiful. And thank you, Pile 1, too. I personally want to thank you for, if you really are working on something like this is very important, especially in today's world. So you're a good people, I guess is how I put that in kind of a simple manner. Wonderful. So I hope you liked the reading. I hope it resonated with you. I hope it helped you, number one, right? If so, YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those three things, if not more. And as we always say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye, Pile 1. Hello there, my wonderful Pile number 2. Welcome to your pick a card reading on the key to your big dream, practical advice on how to get there, etc., all that good stuff. And as you recall, you were drawn to Tarot for the Great Outdoors as your Pile leader. Now, before we get into your main tarot spread and your oracle cards, I did just want to explain why the Eight of Cups was our Pile leader today. So I asked Spirit before I recorded, what is a collective message you want every Pile to know today about their big dream or goal? And this was the one that came up. And at first I was kind of like, well, that's weird because Eight of Cups I don't typically associate with like dreams or goals or career related stuff. But then it clicked after a second. I was like, okay, the meaning of it for everyone today is there's something regarding this dream goal where either they're commending you for having left something in the past emotionally, or part of your advice today is to leave something emotionally in the past, because that is what the Eight of Cups is all about. There's something no longer serving you, or past tense, there was no longer something serving you, right? And needing to move to better pastures in terms of your emotions, somewhere where your heart is more supported and more guided, and it more aligns with your soul. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go into your reading today, because that is maybe one general theme for, yes, everyone, but it might also really specifically resonate with your situation, pile 2. Speaking of your tarot spread, though, let's draw those cards now. So, of course, calling on Spirit for our wonderful pile 2 today. What do you want to tell them about their big dream? Advice they need to hear, practical, tangible steps, messages in general. Thank you. Okay, that one for sure was like, take me. I wanted to come flying out. We'll take it. Beautiful. And there is number 5. Okay, let's see what we are working with today, pile 2. First up to bat, we have the 9 of Cups. Comes right after the 8 of Cups. Talks about a time where we feel emotionally satisfied after having left that thing in the past. Also, in general, it's the card of wishes granted, dreams being fulfilled. Sometimes it's even associated with a feeling of smugness. And I know that typically has a negative connotation, but specifically, I think in this situation, it's a smugness of, I went after something and I got what I wanted, okay? So I think some of you might already be on the path towards this dream or this goal. It's maybe not necessarily still stuck in the ideation stage, which congrats to you. That's kind of Spirit patting you on the back for that with this particular card, for having already had the courage to start. But even for those of you that haven't started yet, though, I think this is Spirit kind of telling you that yes, this particular thing you have in mind is very aligned with who you are. And I think you're on the right path towards getting this dream or this wish fulfilled. So let's keep going, though. That's a very positive card to have come out first. Wonderful. We have another Cups card, but the 6 of Cups reversed. Something to do with the past affecting us in some way. We'll talk about that more in the future. Then we have the Tower as the middle, as the heart of the matter. Very big change, I feel like, is your goal here, your dream. Something that completely uproots your life, or is, maybe not uproots is the whole best word to use, but I mean in terms of, it kind of flips everything upside down. I wonder if some of you are completely moving somewhere new with this, or complete career change, because the Tower tends to represent a situation where everything's turned on its head and everything comes falling down that was no longer serving us, so that we can pave the way to a better future on a better foundation. Because that's the thing with the Tower. It was built on shaky foundations in the first place. That's why it falls. So once again, for those of you that did already leave a place, you left a wonderful, not a wonderful place necessarily, but it was wonderful of you to have left that place, I guess is the better way to put it, because I don't think that place was serving you to the best of your interests. It wasn't serving humanity to the best of its interests, and especially if it was like a particular organization that you left, or maybe just a career in general. You didn't really feel like it was something that was sustainable for you. Maybe it was too stressful, or maybe it just wasn't aligned with who you were as a person and your soul. So therefore, inherently, it was unsustainable, because that's the thing. That's what really gets us through our work and our career and our dreams and our goals is this something I can actually see myself doing for a long time and actually enjoying? And I feel like wherever you were before, it wasn't necessarily that. Let's keep going, though. We have the 9 of Pentacles reversed, another 9. And 9s in tarot and numerology tend to represent when we're just on the cusp of fulfillment with something or success with something, though the 9 of Pentacles reversed does have a little bit of a separate message. We'll talk about that more in tandem with especially the Oracle cards as I draw those, because these are going to be your main advice cards, these last two. Then we have the Queen of Swords reversed as your final tarot card for today, at least in your main spreads. So that can represent needing to think something through logically more, needing to make more tangible steps in terms of communication, in terms of your strategy. That's another really good term to use with the Queen of Swords. She is someone who sees everything very clearly, and she cuts through kind of the mire of distractions, and she cuts through a lack of logic in order to find like what's the best logical path forward towards something. Okay. especially when it comes to our internal mindset, because that's the difference between her and the King of Swords, right? He's more about like external things. She's more about the internal way we think about things. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, let's grab your oracle cards. And I'll just explain your tarot spread in totality here as we go along while I draw those. So yes, I think you are on the right path, pile 2. I will say I do see some things regarding a lack of satisfaction so far with this dream or this goal. I think probably because of mainly the Nine of Pentacles reverses, because that came up, and it's kind of funny, pile 1 had that card too, and I'll tell you the same thing that I told them. The Nine of Pentacles tends to represent, the metaphor I like to use is a gumball machine. Reversed, it is a gumball machine where you put in the quarter and you didn't get your gumball out. Therefore, it's like you put blood, sweat, tears into something, all this effort, and it feels like you're not really getting out of it what you expected. Maybe that's even why you clicked on this reading, because you're like, man, I don't really even know if I should keep going with this particular goal or dream, because I feel like I'm getting nowhere with it. I feel like I'm not getting that gumball I wanted out of it, right? But that's why in the very beginning you had the Nine of Cups come out as your very first card, because basically it was Spirit telling you you might doubt it because you haven't had necessarily a lot of external success yet, pile 2. But just because you haven't seen that outside validation doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. As long as you have chosen the path of what makes your heart sing, what makes you satisfied, what would a wish granted in this situation look like to you, in terms of, for those of you where it's career related, it's like, well, what is your dream career? Okay. As long as you're following that, you are on the right path. I think what might be miring you in some doubt really is things from the past, hence that Six of Cups reverse that came up, because the Six of Cups reverse can be a situation where things from the past are bothering us. And I think for you specifically, it might be some insecurities regarding your past. Maybe you have a tendency or a pattern regarding chasing your goals where you tend not to believe in yourself a lot. Maybe you tend to have like low self-esteem when it comes to achieving your goals. That might also be driving some of your lack of satisfaction so far, or your doubt in this particular goal or dream, because you're like, well, man, I don't have that external validation, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I was, like, it's confidence related things, those kinds of thoughts. Okay, so Spirit basically saying with that, don't let the past define your future here with this particular goal or dream. Or it could have even been that maybe that Six of Cups reverse does represent a situation where you already tried this and you failed. Or I don't even want to use the word fail. Honestly, the only time you fail is when you give up. Okay. And so if you keep trying, pile 2, you haven't failed. But when I say fail, what I mean is maybe it didn't work out precisely the way you expected the first time. So that might also be kind of weighing you down a little bit. You're kind of like, wow, this thing from the past, it didn't go so well. I'm attempting it again, but I just feel like it's not getting anywhere. It kind of feels like my wheels are spinning in place. They're also saying not to let that bother you, because every time you try something, like a second attempt, third attempt, whatever attempt that you might be on, pile 2, the past has no effect on it whatsoever. It's like rolling a die every single time. You have an equal chance of hitting the number that you want when you roll that die every time you try. Okay, and in fact, you actually probably have a greater chance of it succeeding because, well, now you know everything from the first attempt or second attempt, however many attempts you've had so far. You're like, well, I know not to do that particular thing again, or I know to tweak this next time. A lot of achieving goals and dreams in life isn't, doing, for some reason I'm thinking of gymnastics. I don't know if some of you are in gymnastics or some sort of sport like that, where it's like you perform for other people and you're like really judged highly on your specific precision with something, or maybe if it's not sports of some sort, it's something that where precision is very like highly focused on and judged. But that's the thing, is like most dreams and goals in life aren't, you succeeded on the first attempt. First time you were on a balance beam, or the I can't remember all the terms. I'm not really familiar with gymnastics, but I think they call it like the horse. I don't know. You know what I mean? Balance beam, whatever. You probably fell a few times, right? You probably made some mistakes. First time you walked, even as, say, a baby/toddler, you probably fell down a few times before you got up again, and now you walk just fine, right? Or, et cetera, whatever other goals in life, that we think of that we tried to achieve when we were kids. Didn't always work the first time, but that didn't mean we failed. The only time we fail is when we didn't get up and try again. Okay, so Keep that in mind. Don't let the past affect you. And then this card actually did pop out as I was drawing it. It already flipped itself over as I was pulling your Ask Your Guides Oracle. And it is unconditional love. And I think that unconditional love is, well, not only your spirit guides telling you that they love you. Of course they do, right? But also I think unconditional love for yourself will also really help in this situation. I think that's part of that confidence message I was just talking about. That's why I brought this up at the very beginning of your Oracle cards. Also because it flipped over really fast, but yeah, that too, because I was like, I think you need to be a bit easier on yourself, pile 2. I think you're being too difficult. I wonder if you tend to be a perfectionist, which totally understand. I'm a perfectionist myself. I'm just like you. I get that because it's like, oh man, if I'm perfect, nobody can criticize me. At least that's what usually drives my own personal perfectionism. Well, here's the thing. People are going to criticize you for any reason anyway. Sometimes people criticize you for just for their own internal reasons, pile 2. So that's another thing. If you've been getting criticism, think about where people might be coming from in terms of their own issues. I mean, some criticism is great, don't get me wrong. Even just on this channel, I'll get criticism where someone's like, hey, tweak this little thing. And it's actually been really, really helpful taking that criticism into account. Although sometimes I've had criticism that's just you just wanted to be mean today, didn't you? So it's really good to be able to discern between what is helpful criticism and what is just someone's having a bad day and they're taking it out on you because they have nothing more mature to do. So if you've been getting criticism, this might be spirit kind of saying, well, some of that criticism might not have been as legit as you think it was. Okay, so just think it through, okay? Things like that. Let's see. And then, yes, we talked about the Tower with the upheaval. We talked about the Nine of Pentacles reversed being maybe you don't feel like you're really getting as much out of it as you've put in. Totally understandable. Very common feeling when we're working towards a dream or a goal. And then, yes, the Queen of Swords reversed. Let's flip over your other Oracle cards and then we'll talk about the advice in totality. Contained rift. The passageway, fluidity, and world changing. Yeah, look at that, because that's just like the Tower. And it's funny because this is a Gravity Falls deck, this particular Oracle deck. And of course, I'm not going to explain everything for everyone who hasn't watched it. But for reference, though, because this helps with your reading, this particular card is literally about an object that causes a tower moment, hence the tower you got, in the story of the show. Literally, that's why it's called world changing, just like the Tower. So I think here's another thing, pile 2. You might not be really understanding the exact impact that this particular goal or dream that you have in mind will actually affect the world. And even if it's just as simple as, well, I have a dream or a goal to have this particular house, or I have a dream or a goal to learn this particular skill, those things can have ripple effects that we don't quite perceive, even during our lifetime. Sometimes we don't even perceive it until after, we're done with this particular life and we look back in the life review and we're like, oh, that did a lot more than I thought it would. There's something about this that they really want you to keep going with, because not only they're patting you on the back because I think it's aligned with your heart, but number 2, there's a lot of impact here that you're not expecting. Okay. I think you might change the world a little bit with it, even if in just a minor way. Contained rift with fluidity. That might be a little bit of a hint, too, to not be afraid to be a little bit more fluid with your goal here, too. I'm going to keep going. Second divination from Gravity Falls is the Amber Cave, the preserved past, dangerous but beautiful. Preserving something. Some of you might be trying to preserve something from the past. Maybe it's related to archaeology or anthropology. It could also be something related to history. Maybe it's a history degree, degrees in those ways. Are those areas of life? Very cool. Maybe even the study of dinosaurs specifically. I can't remember. Is that paleontology? I think it might be paleontology. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. But the study of dinosaurs, because in the show, the Amber Cave preserved dinosaurs. Okay, Tyrannosaurus Rex and all those good things. That's another sign, too, if you're finding that's resonating, that Spirit is commending you for being on this particular path. Oh, maybe that's why the past came up with the Six of Cups. Something with the past here is very prevalent, symbolically synchronous with this reading. Then from the Citadel Oracle, you have the Smith with the element of Earth, overthinking and taking action. Okay. Maybe you, because of that perfectionism, if you found that resonated, you get mired a little bit too much in think. Maybe that's even why the Queen of Swords actually came out reversed, because I know before I said, I was like, usually it's about, like, you need to, like, think something logically through more. Actually, sometimes the Queen of Swords reversed can be you're thinking through something too much and you're not taking enough action. Okay, that is one of the flaws of the Queen of Swords reversed. So if you are a perfectionist pile too, or you just find yourself overthinking everything before you take action, this is a little bit of a kind nudge from Spirit to lean more towards, not to be cheesy with the Nike pun, but just do it. Okay. Maybe you've just been planning, and you haven't really taken action yet. They're saying it's time for you to take action instead of overthinking so much with this. Okay. And then we have the Badger and Ginkgo with healing wounds. Very beautiful. The Badger and the Ginkgo with healing wounds. Could also be a really good sign for those of you that are maybe in a healing field, or that's part of your dream or your goal. Nursing, medicine, herbal medicine, taking care of other people in whatever way that can manifest in life. It could also be if you're finding that that's not specifically relevant to your goal, at least in a very, obvious way. It might be advice from Spirit to kind of nudge yourself towards thinking in terms of advice, how is what I am doing healing wounds within myself or within others? Because we did have that Six of Cups reversed. Remember, because I said that's things from the past that might still be bothering us, wounds that are still festering. We haven't necessarily healed the scars yet. So ask yourself, not just what is the tangible thing I'm trying to achieve here, but how is this thing I'm trying to achieve healing myself and others? How can I view this goal or this dream as a way to patch these wounds I haven't healed yet or in others? Because I almost wonder if, especially for those of you that do suffer from, like, maybe you take sometimes maybe take criticism too seriously, or that perfectionism thing that I mentioned before, etc., lack of confidence, whatever it might be, it might be a good idea to view this situation as this is a chance the universe is offering me to see evidence to the contrary, that I don't have to be a perfectionist, that criticism isn't always valid. I don't always have to listen to criticism, or I can be confident. I don't have to lack self-esteem or lack confidence when it comes to reaching my dreams, which is related to unconditional love. Okay, so one other piece of advice related to that pile too would be focus on exercises that increase your self-love. As I said, I think you're too hard on yourself. Spirit seems to be saying that. One good exercise that I recommend personally, though of course there's plenty others that are, listed online for self-love exercises, or even self-love meditation is great too, is to ask yourself every single day, before bed, after bed, in the morning, whatever, while you're eating breakfast, in your shower, whatever. What is one thing I have done today that I am proud of, that I appreciate myself for? Because I think, with perfectionism and lack of confidence, we tend to focus on the negative a little bit too much with ourselves. We need to focus on the positive with ourselves more. So you need to retrain your brain neurologically through habit and saying, okay, brain, all that negative stuff is great, at least in terms of it protects us from making mistakes. That's wonderful. But brain, we also need to acknowledge the optimistic, the positive. What's positive about what I've done today or yesterday? Depending on what time of day that you do this particular exercise, right? Don't let your brain and its tendency towards lacking love for self hinder you on this journey, I guess is what your spirit guides and Spirit is saying in general, okay? That, I think, is how the Queen of Swords reversed really has been changed because of these other cards. So really, I think that Queen of Swords reversed is, they're saying to get out of your mind a little bit more and just do and just feel rather than think. Like Pooh Bear. He's always sitting there with his hand to his forehead. Less think, and more do. And I think that will help you with what it is you're trying to achieve. And just remember in the end, too, as I said with that Rift card, especially with the Tower in conjunction, there's more impact to what you're trying to do than you think there is. Even if you think it's just like, literally my goal feels like it's a mundane thing that won't affect anybody. I promise you, pile 2, it will. So that will also help kind of spur you on with this. is, what am I doing that positively impacts other souls here on Earth? Okay? Keep that as your Polaris, your North Star to guide yourself with, to navigate through with this situation. Beautiful. So really, the only tweak, pile 2, you really need to do is they're saying keep doing what you're doing. Remind yourself the positive impact you'll have on others. Remind yourself that it's okay to be proud of yourself when it comes to your successes, or even proud of yourself when it comes to your mistakes. Because the pride in having mistakes is saying, well, at least I tried in the first place anyways. A lot of people don't even try. A lot of people just don't even bother doing anything new, doing anything scary, because they always think, well, the devil I know is better than the devil I don't. But I think you, pile 2, should commend yourself for that courage. So even if that's the one thing you say to yourself today that I am proud of myself for, is I had the courage to take the first step on this journey towards this goal or this dream, then so be it. Be proud of yourself for that, and that's what Spirit is also saying, okay? I know there might not be a lot of external validation on this goal or this dream's pathway yet, because of that 9 of Pentacles reversed, but I promise you, there are aspects to this that will have greater impacts than you expect in many different ways. Healing yourself, healing others, preserving the past perhaps in some ways. Okay? Also, maybe part of it too is to teach other people unconditional love. Because oftentimes when we are teachers, pile 2, it's because we've already been through something ourselves and therefore can mentor others. So mentorship might also be another direction you want to look at with this particular goal or dream, if that applies to you. Beautiful. So that was your reading for today on your advice, practical, tangible advice for your goal or your dream. I hope that, of course, number 1, it helped you. That's my number 1 goal with these readings, but also you liked it, it resonated, all that good stuff. So if so, gotta say the YouTube spiel. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more. And as we always say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile 2, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello there, my wonderful pile 3. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the key to your big dream, practical, tangible advice on the goal you have in mind. And of course, as you recall, you were drawn to Tarot of the Golden Wheel as your deck / your pile leader today. Now, before we get into drawing your other cards, I just wanted to explain, well, why was the 8 of Cups our pile leader today? Because for those of you that are familiar with tarot, the 8 of Cups isn't typically associated with things like dreams or big goals or career. But I'll tell you, I asked before I recorded today, Spirit, is there any one collective message you wanted every single pile to know today? And the 8 of Cups was what came out. And it kind of confused me at first, but then it finally clicked and I was like, oh, that's why. So the 8 of Cups in regards to career, goals, and dreams typically means that we either need to leave something behind emotionally, or they are commending you for having left something behind in the pursuit of this goal or this dream, pile 3. Okay, so just in general, I mean, for some of you, it could be advice that you need to kind of leave something emotionally in the past, or for those of you that, as I said, it resonates more in the way of, oh, I already kind of left something behind in order to pursue what this is. Pat yourself on the back, because that's Spirit basically saying we're commending you for that. Okay? So without further ado, let us look at your main tarot spread, but I just wanted to explain that before we got into your specific cards. Alright, Spirit, anything else you want to say to pile 3 today? Their main tarot spread on advice, tangible steps, all those wonderful things for their goal or their dream in mind. And honestly, across all the piles today, ooh, a bunch of cards just came flying out. I'm going to shuffle those on top of the cards that were already shuffled. Thank you for your patience, pile 3. All the cards just came flying out, and as much as I'd love to do 10 cards, I don't have the room for 10 tarot cards. But as I was saying before the cards came flying out, that collective message from the 8 of Cups really has resonated quite a lot with every pile today, so I have a feeling that it will with you too, but of course we'll see more details here. You know, and I'm almost wondering if part of what you're struggling with this dream or this goal is it feels kind of chaotic. That's at least an intuitive sense I'm kind of getting before I even look at your tarot cards. Like, things feel like they're out of control, or you're trying to gain control or reins over something. I wouldn't be shocked if you say get, like, the Chariot. Let's look at your tarot cards to be sure. We have the Six of Wands reversed as your first card. Yep, feels like we're lacking victory in some way, or we were in some place where it felt like we couldn't win. That might be a place that you left, hence the energy of that Eight of Cups we described in the intro. Let's keep going. We have the Queen of Pentacles, or Wheels as it's known in this deck. Wanting more security internally with our resources, with our career. Desiring more in terms of feeling stability, secure was the word we used too. Very fitting that came up for this reading. Then we have the Knight of Swords as your Heart of the Matter card. Taking action with our intellect or our communication. Then we have the Tower. Pile 2 had the Tower today too. Very prominent. And basically what that means, pile 3, is there's something about this whole goal or dream that's kind of a giant upheaval or a major change that's going on. Okay. And then last but not least, we have the beautiful card of Strength. So looking at everything in totality, and I'll explain as I draw your oracle cards in the background here. Yes, definitely it feels like some of you left a place already because you feel like you just couldn't win there. You might have been technically satisfied in terms of the resources here because of that Queen of Pentacles and like the recent past position, but at the same time there were other aspects to that place, for those of you that did leave somewhere, that it just didn't feel like you could ever really win. It was like you were kind of stuck. So that might represent a career that you came from that was secure, but it wasn't really getting you anywhere in terms of your actual goals outside of money and stability. For those of you where that particular interpretation is not resonating, you're like, well, I didn't really leave anywhere. It could mean that up until this point with this particular dream or goal that you have in mind, you have felt as if victory has eluded your grasp in some way, especially regarding feeling secure or stable. Maybe you haven't really gotten to the point of making money with whatever this is, if it's like a money-related goal or business-related goal. It could also mean that like you have technically seen success in some way, but you still don't feel 100% secure yet. That can be one way too that the Queen of Pentacles manifests, because the Queen of Pentacles she's similar to the King in terms of, yes, she can represent like tangible manifestation of our career or resource goals, but she's more internally focused being the Queen. So sometimes it's more about kind of your emotions regarding this career or this dream or goal that you have in mind that seem to be kind of affecting what's going on right now. Some of you might be on the cusp of announcing something with this goal or this dream, or at least you're at the stage of trying to kind of plan it out because of the Knight of Swords being your Heart of the Matter card. Because the Knight of Swords, Knights in Tarot are action takers, and he is the action taker in terms of air. Air in Tarot is all about our communication. It's all about our logic and our intellect and the way that we strategically think through things. Hence why I was saying you might be on the cusp of just kind of finally planning something out fully. And maybe that's why you clicked on this reading, is because you're like, well, you know what? I'm in the planning stages now. I want as much advice as I can get from Spirit or my spirit guides to make sure that I'm planning everything correctly. But what's interesting is that in your advice cards, you have the Tower and the Strength card. Strength makes total sense. Strength tends to represent, like, making sure that you feel confident in something, having the courage to do something, knowing that you have the willpower and the ability to tame the bear, so to speak. In this particular deck, right, it's a bear instead of the typical lion. So some of you might be struggling a little bit with confidence in terms of this. There might be at least one piece of advice that's coming forward from Spirit. So we'll talk about that more in tangent with your oracle cards, but the Tower is what really throws me for a loop as a tarot reader, because typically the Tower is about massive change. It's about massive upheaval in some way. Because it's an advice card, I don't see it as the traditional depiction of the tarot as being, or not the tarot, sorry, the Tower, as being like this massive, a disaster's coming. It's not that so much, pile 3. But I think with your goals, you might find that there's something that changes in a direction that you didn't expect necessarily. Okay, so we'll see what other cards pop up before I expand on that too much, because I just want to make sure that I'm accurate with my intuition here based on everything else that comes up with that Tower card. So first up from the Ask Your Guides Oracle, we have decisions. With the number 11, we need to make decisions, having to come to a crossroads and make a choice of some sort. Maybe that's why another reason why you were drawn to this particular reading is because you're like, man, I'm at the cusp of a decision. Maybe even the decision to actually start this goal or this dream, and you're like, man, what do I do? How do I go about planning this out perfectly? Let's keep going. We have the opossum and the peony with bashfulness. Also, for some reason, and I think it's because peonies tend to bloom in late May to early June or so, I wonder if some of you are wondering about timing on something, late May or June of the year that you're watching this is what I'm hearing intuitively. I don't get timing in tarot a lot with my readings, but I am hearing that kind of prominently right now. Okay, and then we have the air with, hesitation and unseen potential, and the element of fire. Are you inheriting something, pile 3? Or you're inheriting a business, or you want to perhaps, or you're kind of taking on the mantle, holding up the torch of something that was passed to you. That, or you're very, very well fit for whatever this goal or this dream was. Because an heir, pile 3, inherently means someone that was born for something. Okay, so if you're doubting yourself, I would kind of think of it more in terms of, actually, you might have been really born for this. Don't doubt yourself so much, pile 3. Then this is a Gravity Falls deck, so I'll kind of explain the references where applicable to your reading, obviously, for those of you that have watched the show. Wendy is a character in the show. She is a lumberjack's daughter. She's strong, sharp wit, and resourceful as her keywords. Having to be resourceful, having to be... God, I wonder if that is related to the tower then. Because specifically that outfit she's wearing in that particular incarnation is one she wears during kind of the equivalent of an apocalypse. Which, as I said, like the tower tends to represent like massive change, like literally like an apocalypse would be. So don't run away from the reading. I don't mean that as in like your goal or your dream is going to turn into an apocalypse or really bad situation, but I did see that connection there. And then last but not least, we have the balloon. I won't even explain it. It doesn't even make sense in terms of the show, why it says I eat kids, but it means misplaced efforts and memorable. Yes, so I think pile 3. There's something with this goal that it just really kind of encourages what I was thinking earlier intuitively. There's something with this goal or this dream that you might need to pivot a little bit. I say that because of the tower, meaning something that is massive change, and then also because of the balloon, its keyword is misplaced efforts. I think you have the right idea with whatever it is that you're doing. I think that you were born for this, okay? Just as I said with the air. But there's something that Spirit wants to direct your attention to with this goal or this dream that's just, I feel like It seems like a massive change because of the tower card, but really in the end, from a bird's eye perspective, it's just a tiny pivot. If I had to really pin down what it is, I think it's either the way that you're communicating about the goal or the dream needs to be tweaked just a bit, or it's like your specific direction with it, at least in terms of where you're trying to display this thing or where you're trying to plant this thing. Whatever it is you have as your goal or your dream, everyone will be a bit different. Whatever verb you want to use, plant, try to get off the ground, etc., whatever. It might be better suited to a different spot, metaphorically speaking. And just to use a tangible example, to make it a little bit more, make a bit more sense, I guess. Say you have a small business where you sell, I don't know, handmade bath and body items. I don't know, bath bombs. Let's say you have a bath bomb business. And you have been trying really hard to appeal to a certain market that is, say, like young women or something like that, and say even if you have a brick and mortar store, you opened it in a particular part of the neighborhood that you thought would appeal to the most like foot traffic you might get from that particular demographic that you're trying to market to. And maybe so far you have not been finding success, hence that 6 of Wands reversed. In your case, or extrapolate this example to whatever you have going on, pile 3, because obviously not all of you are going to be opening a bath bomb business, but what I mean when I say pivoting where you're trying to plant this would be, maybe you need to change your target demographic. Maybe you need to change where you have your brick and mortar to a place that more fits the new target demographic that you have, and this can be in multiple ways, say even if it's like a YouTube channel, like what I do, pivoting, your style of your channel to better fit the people that you're trying to appeal to most, or, say if it's even a dream that's related to moving to a new place of some sort, like a particular kind of house that you want someday, you might have to kind of tweak a little bit what you are seeing as your goal in order to actually get there, okay? And I know that sounds scary because a lot of you might be hearing that and you're like, oh God, I went the complete wrong direction. No. That's not what Spirit is saying. They're not saying, you went down the wrong path, pile 3. It's more that they think that your efforts will be greater rewarded or manifest more of your desires if you try a different tactic about it or try a different direction, okay? So, especially in the way that you communicate whatever this goal or this dream is to other people, be that other people involved, people that you're networking with, people that you're selling to, whatever, if it is a business, like a bath bomb business, right? I think part of the issue too is that you don't toot your own horn enough. I say that because of not only the Knight of Swords, because he takes action with communication, but also you have the peony and the opossum with being bashfulness, right? What do opossums do? They play dead. They see a threat and they just keel over and they pretend that they conked out because that's their survival mechanic. But when it comes to goals and dreams, pile 3, if you've been finding that you've been playing dead, so to speak, because maybe you're afraid about putting yourself out there, maybe you're afraid of rejection, maybe you're afraid of, ABC to XYZ, whatever worst case scenario that you're fearing, I think you have something greater than you think you do. And so that's why Spirit is telling you not to play dead so much and to toot your own horn more in terms of don't lay low, try to lay loud. Okay, I guess is how I would put that, because I think what it is that you don't... I don't know. I think it's a confidence thing, really, pile 3. And I say that because of the strength card at the very end. Because strength is all about our confidence and our courage and our willpower. You have something better than you think you do with this. It's just that because you have maybe not received the outside validation of 100% success yet, or people's feedback with 100% positivity, maybe you think, well, maybe this thing isn't even worthwhile. But it is. It's just that you might not be displaying it to the right people or in the right place. Okay? Especially because of that air card. Because it talks about hesitation and then playing dead with the opossum. You need to go big, pile 3. You need to put more into saying, here world, this is my dream or my goal. Here I am, hear me roar. Okay, it sounds corny, and some of you might kind of like, well, I don't know, I really want to put myself out there. What if I fail, or what if people laugh at me, or, other kind of insecurity-related things we might think when we're first taking steps regarding a goal or a dream we have. But with that unseen potential keyword in the air card, I think pile 3, I don't know. You have what it takes, you just don't believe in your potential with this, and I think if you were to pivot, to make that decision, to pivot in a different direction with this, like I said, for the example, maybe a different place for a brick and mortar store, or maybe tweak the vision just a little bit, you would find that unseen potential finally tapped into, and you would find that you would grow it that much more strongly. And you would find more of that outside success that you have been seeking. So the main reason why you haven't been finding success so far, if you're finding that that's resonating, pile 3, is because, as I said, it's just kind of the wrong place in terms of this goal or this dream. But that doesn't mean that the goal or the dream is for naught, or that it is a bad plan or a bad goal or dream. okay? So don't take the rejection or the lack of victory so far personally. Just take it as, well, you know, I mean, like, for example, pile 3, say you're writing a fantasy book, and you display that fantasy book at a, I don't know, like a romance novel convention, and you find that not a lot of people are really into that particular fantasy book. And then you're like, well, what's wrong? How come nobody likes this book? Well, did you ask yourself, well, what kind of convention am I showing this book at? Maybe I need to show it to a fantasy book convention instead of a romance book convention. I mean, obviously, you know, you probably wouldn't make a mistake like that too obviously, right? Nothing that, you know, big or anything, you know what I mean? Like, you're smarter than that, pile 3, I know, but I just was using that as an example. Like, it's really the audience, I guess, if I had to summarize, that you just need to, and it's interesting, too, with the Windy card, because it talks about being resourceful, being strong, having sharp wit, which is about communicating more, saying more to the world, here I am. Advertising might also be something that is good for you because of the emphasis on communication, and also with the balloon. I mean, obviously you wouldn't have the ads that say I eat kids like the balloon does, which once again, it's hard to explain even having watched the show. So, but just know it was basically like, if I remember right, like it was a guy trying to advertise his business, sort of, in a really poorly managed way, with a balloon that set on fire and exploded everywhere. So, but that doesn't mean that his business was inherently wrong or his idea was inherently wrong. It's just that maybe you just needed to tweak the advertising a little bit. Okay, so think about, too, if you already have been advertising this, especially if that applies to what you're doing here, pile 3. How have you been advertising it? Maybe there's something you could tweak in the wording to more specifically target, like, the demographic that you're looking for, your target market, I guess, so to speak, in business terms. All right. Interesting. So I guess overall, pile 3, it's, there's nothing wrong with your idea. It's just tweaking the packaging, really, I guess, if I had to put it more bluntly. You have what it takes for the security and the stability with this. And even if you feel like it's failed so far, like the tower, maybe you felt like, oh man, it has been a disaster so far. It really hasn't been. It's just, you kind of like need to take it like a phoenix, and from the ashes, let it be reborn and shown in a different way, in a different form of some sort. I do actually want to do just one more tarot card on the decisions card from your Ask Your Guides Oracle, because I'm a bit curious about that. Spirit, can you tell me more about the decisions card? More context for that, please, or part of the advice for them. I mean, I really think you could stand out and do really well with this, pile 3, so don't let lack of success so far inhibit you, okay? We have the 8 of Wands reversed. Something not happening fast enough. With decisions. Let me draw one more. And the 3 of Pentacles, teamwork. Working with other people on things. It might be that you're kind of caught between a choice of, because of something not happening quick enough, perhaps the success that you're looking for that we've talked about. Maybe you're looking at working with other people. That might also be another good direction to go in with this, pile 3, okay? Because they're basically saying, whatever the choice, if some of you are facing a choice of some sort, whatever the choices you have are, go with the one that encourages more teamwork, okay? Especially if you're trying to achieve something faster. Finding like-minded people that align with your goals that can help you with this. And that's also part of speaking out more about this. Hear me, world. Involving other people, and other people can spread the word about the thing that you're trying to do or achieve, okay? Maybe that it might even mean hiring someone, if you're in that particular position, if it's, say, a business that you're doing, pile 3, hiring someone that is a communicator, a social media manager. There you go. Very prime example, or someone that knows marketing really well. Maybe that's more of what you need to do, is like tuning your marketing, as I was using as the example earlier too. Like, how do you think about how you're communicating this particular goal or dream to the world, right? Or even if it's not a business, pile 3, it could also be like, say, with the house example, like, oh, this is a dream house that I want someday. How do I get there? It would go faster if you tried to pool your resources together with other people. Okay, say maybe roommates, maybe at least for a while, all right? Roommates, working on a goal together with other people in terms of, that are aligned with the housing goals that you have, okay? Or whatever your situation is. You have a good thing here. You have a good goal and dream, and there's good stuff to it. It's just packaging and how you're communicating it, really, pile 3. Okay, so don't play dead. Don't be bashful. Don't be humble. I mean, don't be overconfident. That's not good either. But I think the Spirit is saying that you're a little bit underconfident with the way that you're portraying this. So speak loudly and speak confidently with this, okay? Don't play dead like the opossum does. Because you have a lot of potential with this idea that you're not tapping into yet, because I think you might be a little bit hesitant to advertise it more, a little bit hesitant to announce it more. Okay? That will bring you what you're looking for with this, all right? Beautiful. That was a reading for today, my wonderful pile 3 on your tangible, practical advice for the dream or goal you have in mind. I hope, number 1, it was helpful. That's what I care about most with my readings. You walk away feeling helped in some way, or at least that you liked it and that it resonated. And if so, YouTube stuff, you know it. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much if you choose to do any one of those 3 things, if not more. And as we always say in our tradition on Lone Pine Tarot, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile 3, and many blessings on your journey towards whatever this dream is. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye, pile 3.